again, Flummies. My name is Danny Ray, and we're going to go over how to make our own day fans. Before we get into it, I just want to apologize in advance for my appearance in the video. I've not been feeling very well these past couple days. You can see I kind of got a little bit of makeup on just to kind of hide the sleep deprivation. So for the duration of this video, I am Rainbow Dash. Now for anyone out there who's not aware, I'm sure most of you are, fans are not the cheapest prop. A good pair of fans, whether they're day fans, fire fans, or LEDs, will cost you anywhere from $90 to a couple $100. $90 is the cheapest set of day fans that I've seen. And of course it'll cost even more if they're custom made. Now that being said, these fans, those expensive pairs of fans, are definitely worth it. If you know that you love fans and you are looking to build this for a long time coming, I definitely recommend getting at least a good pair of day fans so that you can practice. They're durable. So here's a list of the community favorites as far as fan vendors go. But the day fans that we're making today are great if you are just starting out. They're great if you plan to teach this festival season and you want to have extra pairs. And I've met a couple fan spinners who have a decent amount of experience with their prop, but they won't toss it. And I can't really blame them for that, because if you spend $90+ on something, it makes sense that you would not want to throw it. So these fans are also good for that. Practicing your tosses, getting used to new tricks. Also, quick disclaimer, these fans are not going to be the most durable or the most long lasting, which is why I recommend that you get a good pair. And yes, I'm also linking the shops down below. But with festival season coming up, I hope that some teachers can find use for these types of fans. I hope new spinners can make a pair of these so that they can try fans out for themselves. And honestly, I just really hope you guys have fun with this. These are fun to make. Another disclaimer, I don't use exact measurements. I should. So when you look at these fans, at first glance, they look pretty good, pretty symmetrical. But if you were to face them the other way, and look at that. Look at how uneven these are. I don't use exact measurements because, again, these fans are not meant to last a lifetime, but they work, they get the job done. So, yeah, let's get to it. So let's go over basic materials. You'll need 2 sheets of foam board, an X-Acto or hobby knife, colored duct tape, some popsicle sticks, and a pencil. Most of these items can be found at Dollar Tree, but I recommend name brand duct tape. And I'm choosing these 2 colors just because I like them. You'll also need to protect your workspace from the blade, so I'm just using an old cardboard box that I used from my previous move. Alright, getting started, we're going to put our foam board on top of the protective surface, and yeah, I'm using a foam board that was used in a previous pair of fans, but you know, hopefully you have a clean one. So we're going to start with a circle, far away from the corner. Now again, like I said in the intro, I don't use measurements. Admittedly, it would definitely help to use measurements. It would be so much more precise. My fans could be symmetrical, but I guess I will never learn. So erasing and redrawing over and over again it is. So there's our basic curve. Now we're going to start the finger loop. I prefer finger loops. A couple of mine have Russian grips. You can definitely do a Russian grip as well. So feel free to draw this circle in whatever size you see fit. And yeah, don't forget to cut out that little corner. I'm just doing a basic little curve. You can make it a flat grip or, you know, even more rounded, whatever you like. So there's that. Another quick adjustment because I'm still very stubborn. And the hardest part about this is once you've got this basic frame, the hardest part is just figuring out what kind of shape to make. I never really know until I actually get into it. Like, there's just so many possibilities. But whatever, I'm just gonna go for a basic kind of supporting frame. So there's the second line there, and that space is the space that I'm going to keep. So I'm just gonna follow along. I'm doing straight edges on the outside, but I do have a couple pairs where I kind of curve it inwards just to kind of give it more of a curvy kind of feel. So again, keep it straight, curve it in, whatever you want to do. And obviously, you know, I need a supporting beam in the middle. We're gonna draw another supporting beam around the top of the finger loop here, just so that it's not a super thin board. And then we'll need supporting beams for these other 2 sides. And as I'm going, I'm erasing lines that I know I'm not going to need, the lines that I know I'm not going to cut. And yeah, pardon my hood. This is the part where I tend to focus most on my work, and when I focus I have to get like super up close. So yeah, there's that. Now I'm going to do the supporting beams for the inside to kind of make it a little more durable. I'm just going to do a basic curve, you know. And I decided to do 2 of these supporting beams. So I drew one closer to the finger grip and one closer to the top. And feel free to adjust and draw until you have a shape on the inside that you are happy with. And I'm getting nice and comfy here because this next step is probably the most zen one. It's the most relaxing. You're just going to darken the lines that you know you're going to cut and the shapes that you know you're going to want to keep. And just erase the lines that you do not want to cut. The lines that keep the frame all in one piece. You want to make sure those are very clearly erased because once you get into the cutting and you're not paying attention, yeah. So you should end up with something similar to this. So we're just going to cut all these shapes out. And I start with the curve just because it's the easiest. And the sound is so satisfying, you guys. Listen. I love it. Now just a fair warning, you might not always get to the other side of the foam board, so you may have to go through just lightly just to make sure it's all cut out. And yeah, there's your frame. Don't forget to cut the grip and the finger loop. It's never gonna be a perfect circle, but you know, it's there. And don't forget to try it out to make sure you're happy with it. Once you're satisfied, go ahead and cut out the shapes on the inside. And yeah, a quick shout out to Grace K, who has a very similar method of making her own practice fans. I will link that down below if you guys are interested. She does use slightly different materials, but she also uses measurements, so hers are much more exact than mine. And yeah, I just think it's important for everyone to have options. So that is our finished frame. And now we're going to use it as a stencil on the rest of the foam board. And yeah, I remember I did use this other one for a previous pair, so I'm just gonna have to kind of like Frankenstein the 4th piece, but you are gonna want to have 4 frames in total. So now you're just gonna outline that in pencil, and in order to get the 4th frame, I'm just kind of tracing half of my fan onto some of the spare space on this foam board. I'm just lining it up with one of the sides, the outer side of the center beam there, just so I know where to start when I do the other half. And again, if you started with a new foam board, you will be able to skip this step and just do 2 easy frames on each board. Also, I apologize if you hear laughter in the background. That is my child. I allowed him to watch his tablet so that I could finish this. So I apologize for any odd or maniacal laughter you hear in the background. So once we're done tracing, we're just gonna cut out the shapes. And yeah, don't be afraid to take a quick flow break just to make sure you like the shape. So again, make sure you got 4 frames. Yes, that is my Frankenstein one. And now we're gonna stack. No, not like that. So 2 frames will make 1 fan. And yeah, you could tape them just like this. I prefer popsicle sticks. It just adds a little bit of durability. But it's totally optional. You could totally skip this and just start taping if you wanted to. And it's basically just like a puzzle now. You just want to try to get them all to fit. And yeah, you may have to break a few pieces just to make it work. The one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overlap them because that could damage the foam on the inside. So yeah, just try to keep them as flat as possible. Try to make them fit. And admittedly, I tend to go a little bit crazy with this step. You really only need like 1 stick per beam. Like 1 is more than enough. I tend to be a little extra. I can't help myself. So now we're just gonna tape it down so that the sticks don't shift during the rest of construction. Once that's done, you're gonna layer the other fan on top, and you're just gonna tape the inner corners of this. And the reason for that is just that when you do the decorative layer of tape, The inner corners are, in my experience, the trickiest parts to really get covered, and I like to cover the whole thing. So I would just rather get that done sooner rather than later. And I know I want the inner frames of my fans to be blue, so I'm using the blue tape to keep that consistent. So just a quick update here to avoid any confusion. I switched the blue for the purple because the blue that I had was just really flimsy and super annoying to work with. So duct tape brand for me is the easiest and the best for that. And secondly, I moved to my bedroom because it's cozier and Reptar is just much more fun to look at. So yeah, back to work. This process of taping the inner corners is probably the most tedious and annoying, and yeah, there it is, you can see it on my face. I love making these fans, you guys, but I feel like every time you go to create something, no matter how it is, there's just one step to it that's always just the most annoying and tedious process, and there's no avoiding it. So for me, that's taping these corners of the practice fans. Now that my fans look like my 5th grade sketchers, we can get to the fun part, which is the decorative tape. Yay! Now, instead of blue, like I said, I switched to purple, so that's going to be my inner frames, and I deliberately left some of it overlapped here so that I could cover the inside of the frames. So I'm doing 2 per beam there. And then I'm going to grab my trusty pointy thing here, and I'm just going to cut the tape over the space so that I can fold it over the inside of the frame. I'm keeping it kind of diagonal so that I can fold some of it over the short sides here, and then I can fold the rest of it over the long sides. Now, if your frames are straight or mostly straight, you will be able to just fold it over the end. Mine are kind of curved, so I'm gonna make a slit in the middle here just to make it easier to fold over. Now, I did cut out a lot of footage for the sake of time, but it is the same process over and over again, basically. So when you do the center beam, you're actually going to want to do it more to the side than the center. This way you have the overlapping tape to cover the inside. So that's one half, and now you're going to flip it over to the other side and repeat the same process. Now the curves where you had to split to get it over the ends, you want to try to switch the spots of the slits so that the flaps kind of cover the spaces from the previous cuts. Now I like to have the inside design of my frame a different color than the outside. So I'm doing the outside part of my frame in pink. And obviously you can do it all one color if you want. You can do stripes, you can do polka dots, you know, freaking duct tape portrait if you want to, whatever you want to do. But it's the same basic process: layer, cut where it's curved, and just make it work. Now, no matter what kind of grip you use, I definitely recommend using small strips of duct tape. This way they don't fold over so much, because the folds will hurt your fingers after a while. So you definitely want to try to keep that center grip as smooth as possible. Now for the outer frames, because they're so straight, it's just the most satisfying. So I'm just cutting off the pieces of the beams, and oops, I just cut out one from the space. Oh well, just throw that back on there. And yeah, I'm just cleaning it up and making it nice and neat, and now I can just fold this other piece over. Oh god, that's just so satisfying. If your entire frame is straight, it's just going to be so much easier. But the curves are pretty. So do with that information what you will. And here it is, the ceremonial final piece of tape. And it's off screen. But we're done. Yep, and that is that. It is nighttime now. I began filming in the morning. And that's it. Yeah. Let me know in the comments if you plan to make these. Tag me on Instagram. I'd love to see what you guys come up with. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more flow arts videos. Give this video a like if you plan to make your own fans, or if you like kittens. And big surprise, I have a Redbubble shop. And I do have a collection of flow arts designs. I hope you all have a wonderful flow arts journey, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Look at you, Gomez. Look at you. You're such a handsome boy. Hi.
Do you want to spin fans? You gonna try it out? You spinny spinny? You to fire for the dragon? Huh?